What's up guys, it's Oakley, and we're going to be taking a look at the latest rally point. It's going to be the final one before the game drops, and I wanted to mention right here, actually Heir of Carthage was there, so that was pretty cool to see. I did not expect to see him there, so I'm not sure if he was invited to the event or if he showed up and basically made it onto the panel, but that's pretty cool. Heir I had talked to you about. He's a really nice, funny, goofy guy, really personable, great commentator. So he didn't get to say much in the panel here, but I would definitely check out his channel. He does great commentaries. Very friendly guy, and I've been trying to reach out to him and kind of try and work together, and that's something I've been trying to do. I sent out a bunch of messages to people from CA. I've heard back from Trish, and basically what I'm trying to do is create a community in the Total War, in terms of YouTube and stuff like that, trying to make a big partnership between everyone so we can promote our content, spotlight community content, and be able to bring you guys the best stuff, and hopefully have some tournaments and free giveaways and do all sorts of stuff to bring the community together and make it a better experience. But I'll explain all that in a later video. This time we're going to be basically taking a look at some Phalanx action, so I apologize for the video quality. I'm still abroad and I don't have access to the best technology, and my laptop is really crappy, so I'm going to go ahead and do the freeze frame thing where I'm able to get a bit higher quality when I do freeze it. Anyways, go ahead and check the link below for the link to the actual video in case you missed it. You definitely want to watch it in 1080p. Anyways, looking at this here, they're going to show us an engagement between the Phalanx and various other forces. So here, cavalry facing it head on is going to be pretty devastating, and the cavalry here, what I liked is basically the animations. I like how the forces in the back for the cavalry sort of held back, and that's something that's obvious is when fighting against massed phalanx and massed spears and even massed troops of any sort, horses will not charge unless they see a gap, and so that's what you're seeing here is the horses actually in the back not even deciding to engage. So I think that's again another element of realism. And of course, a frontal assault on the phalanx is just not going to work. So here you're going to see sort of a frontal attack by the infantry and then a side attack by the cavalry. They show that it's much more effective. Again, the dust clouds forming at the infantry when they get hit, it's an indicator to show your troops are getting hit, but I think it's a bit too goofy. I hope they tone it down before release, or someone mods it at least. But they talk about how the side attack from the cavalry is going to be pretty effective, although it won't be super effective. You'll see later an attack from the back is the best, because from the side the phalanx can still rearrange and hold its own. So I think that's pretty cool. It makes the phalanx a bit more sturdy as opposed to just strong in the front. I think the being able to hold its own on the side is going to be pretty useful. And you can also see some of the troops here, and then later in the video they will be switching to their smaller swords. So of course when the phalanx is basically, when it loses its cohesion, it switches into basically sword fighting, and that's something you'll see here when I freeze the frame. Actually the next frame. Anyways, I want to talk about right here the soldiers on the right penetrating through the phalanx. Now most of them are going to get pinned up and can't get within reach. Some of them can get in and fight, so I'm cool. It's cool to see that some of them can sneak through. Historically, you would have seen the legionnaires actually lop off the ends of the sarissas, and in this video right here you can see the front three ranks of the sarissas are actually presenting their spears, whereas the other ones have them pointed up. The spears in the back that were pointed up would actually have the added benefit of being able to deflect arrows and javelins. So in an earlier video you saw them not taking too much damage from Pilla. Anyways, you can see right here the rear charge is very effective. I wanted to highlight a couple things. One, the momentum. You can see the horses really crashing in on the phalanx, pushing all the troops, and look at the forefront of the image. That's one of the it was, now that it's gone, you can see one of the phalanx troops basically using his sword. So that's when the troops lose cohesion, they basically switch their sword. Now there's no combat animation or no animation to see them switching. It kind of just the spear disappears and a sword appears in its hand. That's what we saw in Rome 1, and of course, some people will always complain that that's not realistic, but it would be impossible, I think, to do otherwise, because you'd have to have them put down the spear, then they would have to pick it up later. So it's much easier in terms of animation, all that stuff, to just make it appear and disappear, and I really think it doesn't detract too much. Also, take a look at the map right here. It's basically a big open grassy flatlands. Now I'm hoping this is a standard map that you can use. It looks very good for deploying troops. It's kind of deceptively flat because you'll see there are some hills that I'm guessing you can hide some troops in. Anyways, here you can see some phalanx on phalanx action approaching each other. You can see this one in the foreground is going to be marching forward. Now some people did complain about the phalanx battles progressing too fast. In the previous engagements against the cavalry, they talked about the one being attacked was actually a spear levy, so that means it's basically one of the weakest troops, so it made sense for it to crack basically instantly, whereas the Spartans would basically hold in there much longer. I do say basically a lot, so I'm going to have to watch out for that. Anyways, you can see right here, the guys on the bottom are going to be advancing. I like the speed at which the phalanx moves. It holds its cohesion. Now in reality, Phalanx would have been very hard to move going forward, so whenever they hit rough ground they would basically break apart, and that's why the Phalanxes were most effective when they held their ground or when they were able to march across flat ground. And so I guess that's the terrain you can see here. Also take a look at the army in the background, look at the terrain. This is going to be a fun map to play on, very easy to maneuver. And yeah, you'll see the forces here moving forward. I don't think we see the option for a Phalanx run, which is what the was used actually pretty effectively against the Persians, who were surprised by the maneuverability of the Phalanx. Here you can see sort of the classic Phalanx approach. And as I've said before, these are of course the sarissas used by Macedon, and you know, it was later to be more effective than the Greek style because they of course had a longer reach, and this is what allowed Alexander to conquer the Greeks and eventually conquer the East. Here you can see some Phalanx on Phalanx action. You can see the animations. I recommend you take a look at this video right here. It's very good for learning more about Phalanx. This guy has a couple of videos, and it's much better than people who you see on the forums posting stuff or in the comments saying, oh, this is how it was fought because I read it in a book. This guy has actually gone ahead and demonstrated what's feasible, what is not, and so he takes, by sort of demonstrating it firsthand, you can see what is practical. So I think it's very effective to learn from him when he does the demonstration. So before you make any comments about sort of animations or how you think the battle should or should not have gone, how the combat should or should not look like, go ahead and take a look at that video. I think it'll be pretty enlightening. I learned a lot from him, and he comments on a lot of different things, shield walls and stuff like that, and it's really surprising the stuff you learned in terms of the practical use of these spears. I would go ahead and check that out for more context. It's very useful. Now the next part of the video is going to be mostly about this chick right here. A lot of people are gonna have comments about her. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything. In any case, it's good to see her making an appearance here, and it provides a break from the more barbarian-looking Will and Craig. Anyways, you can see right here, she's basically gonna be talking about the combat animations that they have. I think she's one of the people in charge of doing the animations. In any case, they talk about how they have twice as many animations as Shogun 2. So already in Shogun 2, I was very impressed. You could zoom in and see all these sort of finishing moves, troops hitting each other, headbutting and stuff like that, and that's something you're going to see making a comeback in Rome 2, and it's much more glorious with the higher unit detail, more combat sounds, and the animations here look beautiful. Also, look at the different spears and weapons you're seeing here. They look way cooler. Those are some swords I have not seen before. Those are really cool. So, you know, in these we're seeing a brief glimpse at what we'll see from the animations. Some really cool finishing moves right here, and they talk about how basically when they animated it, they couldn't do it individually for every type of troop. So basically what they did is they have different sequences that'll be connected together for the various troops. So they plotted out before, you know, spear against sword, sword against cav, all that stuff, the generic ones, and then they have a system that'll make it so that in-game it'll vary all of these, and it basically amounts to twice as many combat animations as you saw in Shogun 2. So that's really awesome. You know, it means you can appreciate the game really up close, and also for these cinematics, it really makes it look very believable also when you're in game. And then here we're going to see some more of the animation. I'm going to play it once and then play it again, slow motion. You really see the troops not only using their, you know, sword and shield, but also all parts of their body. You'll see them doing finishing moves like that. They'll headbutt each other, they'll kick each other, they'll elbow each other. I think it's very realistic. I also really like how the horses move. The horse there was never holding still, whereas in previous Total War games, you know, it was the horse stood still and then the guy on top did all the moves. Same goes with the elephants. You can see everything is very lively, very animated, and it looks great. And keep in mind that they of course could not motion cap elephants, so it's very impressive that they're able to pull off that realistic elephant death sequence. You know, looks very cool. Kudos to them. Great job, guys. Looking forward to seeing this in-game. Now I'm going to play a little bit more in slow motion so you can appreciate it. But again, go ahead and check out the video below. I'll link you to the main one so you can watch in 1080p. Again, I really appreciate all the work CA has been putting into this game. It all looks really glorious, and it's going to make everyone appreciate the game much more, and it's going to make it much longer lived, especially for the higher end machines. And you know, anyone who wants to make cinematic videos, as I anticipate doing, it's going to be very cool to be able to show this off. Yeah, and especially the elephant ones. I can't wait till people start modding the game and make a Lord of the Rings mod, which they did before, but I can't imagine when they make the elephants into larger scale. That's something they've been able to do before, and turn these elephants into Oliphants. So whenever the modding community gets around to that, I will be spotlighting it. It'll be really cool, especially in the last sequence here where you see basically the Mahout taking a fall, hitting the elephant's ear and pulling him down. It's something that we saw in the third Lord of the Rings, where the elephant would go and get hit by another elephant. Anyways, I will see you guys next time. That's it for this video. Make sure to check out the 2 videos in the link below. See you guys next time.